Sarah Chen stared at the holographic display, watching the last known signal from her daughter's neural implant fade into static. The timestamp read 47 hours ago, right in the middle of what should have been a routine cultural exchange visit to the Arcturus Science Academy. Her coffee had gone cold, forgotten on her desk at Lunar Defense Command as she ran the tracking program for the 100th time. Lieutenant Commander Chen, the AI assistant, chimed. "The Board of Education has responded to your inquiry." Sarah didn't look away from the screen, and they maintained that all proper protocols were followed during the exchange program. Maya's vital signs showed no distress before the signal was lost. The cup cracked in Sarah's grip. Proper protocols. In 15 years of Special Forces service before becoming a single mother, she'd learned that proper protocols usually meant someone was covering their ass. Maya wasn't just another statistic in their exchange program. She was a brilliant 16-year-old who could hack quantum encryptions in her sleep and had her mother's stubborn determination. "Show me the transport manifest again," Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite the storm building inside her. The holographic display shifted, showing the passenger list of the educational vessel Stellar Scholar. Maya's name was there, along with 20 other gifted students from Earth's top tech academies. Cross-reference any unusual energy signatures near their last known coordinates. Sarah's fingers flew across the haptic interface, drawing from her military access that technically should have been revoked years ago. The system hesitated for a microsecond, long enough for Sarah to mutter, "Override Chen Alpha 09. Some passwords never expire." The display erupted with new data streams. There, a quantum wake signature typical of stealth ships, intersecting with the Stellar Scholar's path just before communications went dark. Sarah had seen similar patterns during her Special Forces days, usually preceding the disappearance of high-value targets. "Computer, who else has accessed these sensor logs in the past 48 hours? Records indicate queries from Transgalactic Industries, Arcturus Security Division, and the AI paused, an encrypted source using algorithmic patterns consistent with the Shadowmere Syndicate." Sarah's blood ran cold. The Shadowmere Syndicate, pirates who specialized in acquiring unique assets for the highest bidder. During her last active mission, she'd nearly caught their leadership, only to watch them slip away into the quantum void. Now they had her daughter. She opened her secure storage unit, retrieving a matte black case she'd hoped never to use again. Inside lay her neural combat interface, still gleaming as if it hadn't spent 5 years gathering dust. Next to it, a quantum encrypted badge that could override most security systems in United Earth space. "Computer, send a message to Admiral Zhang. Personal code. The Phoenix needs wings." It was an old debt, one Zhang had sworn to repay after Sarah saved his family during the Proxima uprising. Within minutes, her comm unit pinged. "The TSV Nighthawk is preparing for routine maintenance in Base 7, the message read. "Security cameras will experience a scheduled outage for approximately 30 minutes. Sarah smiled grimly as she suited up. The Nighthawk, her old command ship, officially decommissioned but secretly maintained for special operations. As she checked her gear, a holophoto on her desk caught her eye. Maya on her 16th birthday, proudly showing off the quantum computer she'd built from salvaged parts. "Hang on, baby," Sarah whispered. "Mom's coming." The corridors of Lunar Command were nearly empty this late in the shift. Anyone who saw her walked quickly in the other direction. Something about her expression suggested this wasn't a time for casual conversation. At the security checkpoint, the guard barely glanced at her outdated credentials before waving her through. Some reputations never fade. Base 7 was dark when she arrived, maintenance drones deactivated. The Nighthawk waited in shadow, a predator playing at being forgotten. Sarah placed her hand on the hull, feeling the slight hum of systems that was supposed to be dormant. "Welcome back, Commander," the ship's AI greeted her as she stepped aboard. "Shall I initiate pre-flight sequences?" "Not yet." Sarah moved to the cockpit, settling into the familiar command chair. First, we're going to have a little chat with Transgalactic Industries about their recent interest in educational programs. Plot a course to their corporate headquarters on New Singapore Station. That's restricted space, Commander. Without current authorization, then it's a good thing I kept those override codes, isn't it? Sarah's fingers danced across the controls, bringing weapons and stealth systems online. They took my daughter, Nighthawk. That means they've already chosen violence. They just don't know it yet. As the ship hummed to life around her, Sarah pulled up Maya's last known coordinates, laying in a search pattern that would take her through some of the galaxy's most dangerous sectors. The Shadow Air Syndicate had made a crucial mistake. They'd assumed Maya was just another bright young mind to be sold to the highest bidder. They hadn't realized they'd taken the daughter of the woman who once made an entire pirate fleet surrender by broadcasting their tax evasion records to the Galactic Revenue Service. The woman who could hack a quantum vault with nothing but a broken comm unit and sheer spite. The woman who'd earned the nickname Ghost for her ability to appear anywhere in the galaxy where someone needed to have a very bad day. Nighthawk, Sarah commanded as they broke lunar orbit, activate all combat systems, and set Condition 1 throughout the ship. Some people need to be reminded why they used to fear the dark. The stars streaked past as they accelerated to quantum speed, and Sarah Chen, decorated officer, single mother, a now very angry woman with access to military-grade weaponry, began planning exactly how she was going to dismantle 3 star systems worth of criminal enterprises to get her daughter back. The hunt was on, and heaven help anyone who stood in her way. New Singapore Station hung in space like a brilliant jewel, its neon advertisements reflecting off the polished hulls of thousands of ships. But Sarah Chen wasn't interested in the legitimate businesses that kept the station's economy flowing. Her target lay in the depths of the station's infamous lower markets, where anything could be bought or sold, provided you didn't ask too many questions. Docking request denied. The station's automated system announced. Your authorization codes are. Override protocol Chen 7 Delta, Sarah interrupted, simultaneously broadcasting a data packet that made the station's eye hiccup. Maintenance inspection, priority 1. There was a pause then. Welcome to New Singapore Station, Inspector. Please proceed to Maintenance Dock 13C. The Nighthawk slipped into the designated berth like a shark gliding into dark waters. Sarah activated her neural combat interface, feeling the familiar tingle as augmented reality overlays filled her vision. The station's security systems were an open book to her now: camera feeds, guard rotations, encrypted communications. Interesting, she murmured, noting a spike in encrypted transmissions the moment she docked. Someone's nervous about the inspection. She moved through the station's upper levels with purposeful stride, her maintenance uniform and forged credentials deflecting attention. But as she descended into the lower markets, the pristine corridors gave way to a maze of makeshift stalls and suspicious glances. A Centaurian information broker watched her approach, his crystalline, form-shifting colors nervously. "We don't see many inspectors down here," he chittered. Sarah smiled, laying a credit chip on his counter. "I'm looking for recent acquisitions. Young humans, specifically those with technical aptitude." The broker's colors darkened. Dangerous questions. Transgalactic doesn't like. He caught himself, but too late. Transgalactic. Sarah leaned forward, her smile unchanged even as her neural interface marked 3 armed individuals moving to surround her. "Tell me more." I said too much. The broker's crystalline surface went completely opaque, the equivalent of closing his eyes and pretending she wasn't there. Sarah sighed. Computer execute program light show. The market's already chaotic lighting suddenly went haywire. Neon signs flickered in seizure-inducing patterns, holographic advertisements began playing backwards, and every security camera in the sector started spinning in circles. Chaos erupted as merchants tried to protect their illegal wares from suddenly malfunctioning security systems. The three armed individuals who'd been approaching found themselves trapped in a maze of malfunctioning holograms. Now, Sarah turned back to the broker about Transgalactic. They came through 2 days ago. The broker's colors shifted rapidly in distress. A private transport, heavy security. The cargo manifests listed specialized equipment, but the power readings, they were consistent with stasis pods. Sarah's interface highlighted elevated heart rates from several observers. Word was spreading about her questions. Good. Let them run to their masters. Let them carry the message. Someone was hunting. A new alert flashed in her vision. Station security, responding to the chaos. But these weren't regular officers. Their encrypted comm channels used transgalactic protocols. Time to make an impression, Sarah muttered. She pulled a small device from her pocket, a gift from Maya last birthday, ironically. Look what you taught me to make, baby girl. The device activated, sending a cascading wave of quantum interference through the market's systems. Security barriers activated randomly, trapping the approaching corporate troops in a maze of their own security protocols. Their encrypted communications dissolved into static. Sarah moved through the chaos like a ghost, gathering intel from panicked merchants. A pattern emerged. Transgalactic wasn't just grabbing random kids. They were selecting specific talents: quantum computing, neural programming, AI development. Nighthawk, she subvocalized through her neural link, accessed Transgalactic's local network. Search for any facilities specializing in advanced research, particularly those with recent security upgrades. The response came as she reached the upper levels. 3 facilities matched the criteria, but one stood out, a supposedly abandoned research station in the Epsilon sector, now showing massive power consumption. A security team finally managed to break through the chaos, only to find an empty maintenance uniform and a message scrolling across every screen in the lower markets. A mother's love is more dangerous than your security systems. Back aboard the Nighthawk, Sarah reviewed the data she'd gathered. Transgalactic was collecting brilliant young minds, but for what? The power readings from that research station suggested something massive, something that required both significant energy and specialized knowledge. Plot a course to the Epsilon sector, she commanded, and prepare the stealth systems. I think it's time we paid Transgalactic's secret laboratory a visit. As the Nighthawk broke orbit, station authorities were still trying to restore order to the lower markets. Business would eventually return to normal, but the message would spread through the criminal underworld. Someone was asking questions about Transgalactic's recent acquisitions, and they had the power to turn New Singapore's legendary security systems into a light show. Sarah checked her weapons as the ship accelerated to quantum speed. The piece was coming together, but time was running out. Whatever Transgalactic wanted with these kids, with her Maya, she had to stop it before it was too late. Hold on, Maya, she whispered to the stars streaking past. Mom's getting closer, and she's bringing hell with her. The abandoned research station in the Epsilon sector wasn't abandoned at all. Through the Nighthawk's quantum sensors, Sarah watched the careful dance of automated defense satellites and patrol ships, all broadcasting seemingly legitimate transgalactic security codes. Interesting security for an abandoned facility, she muttered, adjusting her neural interface's sensitivity. The station's power signature was masked, but not well enough to hide from someone who knew where to look. Deep in its core, something was consuming massive amounts of energy. Analyzing defense patterns, the Nighthawk's AI reported. They've established overlapping fields of coverage. However, there appears to be a synchronized gap every 47 minutes when the patrols realign. Sarah smiled grimly. Just enough time for a supply ship to dock, or for someone to slip through if they know exactly what they're doing. She spent the next hour watching the patrol patterns, letting her combat interface map every detail. Transgalactic's security was good, professional grade, military spec, but Sarah had helped write the protocols they were using, back when she was developing counter-infiltration measures for Earth's defense force. Nighthawk, prepare the infiltration pod, and activate Protocol Phantom. The small pod detached from the Nighthawk's hull, its stealth systems making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. Sarah guided it manually, timing her approach with the next petrol gap. The pod's systems were completely passive, no emissions, no signals, just momentum and skill. As she neared the station, her neural interface picked up scattered fragments of internal communications. Most were standard operation chatter, but one caught her attention. Subject M16 shows promising adaptation to the neural enhancement protocols. M16. Maya was 16. The coincidence made Sarah's blood run cold. The pod docked silently at a maintenance airlock. Sarah's old override code still worked, another sign that Transgalactic's security chief needed to be fired. Assuming they survived what was coming. Inside, the station was a maze of research laboratories and secure areas. Sarah moved like a shadow, her neural interface mapping security systems and patrol routes. The deeper she went, the more disturbing the fragments of conversation became. The neural integration is proceeding faster than expected. Subject M16's quantum processing capabilities are off the charts. Prepare for Phase 3 testing. Sarah's interface suddenly pinged. It had located Maya's neural implant signal, but something was wrong. The signal was much stronger than it should be, pulsing with patterns Sarah had never seen before. She found the observation room empty, night shift, minimal staffing. The screen showed multiple testing chambers, each containing a young person connected to complex machinery. And there, in Chamber 16, was Maya. Sarah's heart stopped. Her daughter floated in a suspension field, surrounded by neural interface cables far more advanced than anything publicly available. Data streams showed her brain activity, quantum processing calculations, power consumption. Oh God, baby, what are they doing to you? Advancing human evolution, a calm voice answered from behind her. Though I suppose I shouldn't be surprised to see you here, Commander Chen. Maya's capabilities had to come from somewhere. Sarah turned slowly. A woman in an immaculate corporate suit stood in the doorway, flanked by security drones. Dr. Elizabeth Morgan, Transgalactic's head of research. Sarah had reviewed her file during the approach. The next generation of human consciousness, Morgan continued, gesturing at the screens. Direct neural integration with quantum systems. These children aren't just gifted with computers, we're turning them into living quantum processors. You're experimenting on children. Sarah's voice was deadly calm. Morgan laughed. Experimenting? We're elevating them. Maya's neural capacity has increased tenfold. She can process quantum calculations that would take our fastest computers years to solve. She's becoming something more than human. She's becoming a slave. Sarah's neural interface was already hacking the station's systems, uploading viruses she prepared. And you forgot something important about evolution, Doctor. Oh, Morgan raised an eyebrow. And what's that? Nothing is more evolved than a mother's instinct to protect her child. The station's lights flickered. Security alerts began blaring. Morgan's smile faltered as her security drones suddenly turned to face her. What have you done? I wrote half the security protocols Transgalactic uses. Sarah advanced slowly. Did you really think I couldn't turn this entire station against you? Now, you're going to help me get these kids out, or I'm going to show you exactly how creative a pissed-off mother with military-grade neural implants can be. Morgan's face hardened. You don't understand. We can't just disconnect them. The neural integration is too deep. If we tried to remove them now, then you'd better figure it out fast. Sarah's neural interface showed the station's reactor readings spiking. Because in about 10 minutes, this station's containment systems are going to fail spectacularly, and I'm not leaving without my daughter. Alarms continued to blare as Sarah forced Morgan toward the control systems. Around them, the station began to tear itself apart from the inside. It was time to remind Transgalactic why some lines should never be crossed, especially when they led to a mother's child. Time moved like quantum particles, both too fast and agonizingly slow, as Sarah watched Dr. Morgan work at the control station. The woman's fingers flew across holographic interfaces while security alerts continued to blare throughout the facility. "The neural disconnection has to be gradual," Morgan explained, her clinical tone betraying no emotion. "Too fast and we risk permanent damage to their cognitive functions. Too slow and we all die when the station's containment fails." Sarah's neural interface showed her everything: reactor status, security team movements, and most importantly, Maya's vital signs. Her daughter's neural patterns were unlike anything she'd ever seen, waves of quantum data flowing through human consciousness. 6 minutes to containment failure, the Nighthawk reported through Sarah's neural link. A squad of security forces attempted to breach the lab's entrance. Sarah's hacked security drones met them with precise, stunning shots. "Work faster, Doctor. I don't think your board of directors will appreciate having to explain 20 dead teenagers to their parents." "You don't understand what you're destroying," Morgan snapped, though her hands never stopped moving. "We're on the verge of the next step in human evolution. These children could become the bridge between organic and quantum computing." "They never consented to be your bridge," Sarah countered, watching Maya's vitals carefully. "You stole them, experimented on them, and now you're going to help me save them, or we all get to experience very rapid decompression." The first of the stasis chambers began powering down. A young boy, maybe 14, gasped as consciousness returned. Sarah's interface identified him as Daniel Wong, a prodigy in AI development. 4 minutes to containment failure. Chamber after chamber deactivated, each teenager emerging confused and disoriented. Sarah's modified drones helped them toward the emergency evacuation pods she prepared. "Mom." Maya's voice was weak, but clear as her chamber finally powered down. Sarah rushed to her daughter's side, supporting her as she stumbled. "I'm here, baby. I've got you." The calculations, they're so beautiful. Maya's eyes were unfocused, seeing things Sarah couldn't imagine. "I can see the quantum realm, Mom. The numbers, they're alive." 2 minutes to containment failure. Morgan stood from the control station. "It's done, but you have no idea what you've cost humanity today." "Humanity doesn't advance by sacrificing its children." Sarah helped Maya toward the exit. "Nighthawk, begin emergency evacuation sequence. Get these kids to the medical bay." The station shuddered as systems began to fail. Security forces had pulled back, more concerned with their own survival than stopping the evacuation. Sarah's drones guided the teenagers through the corridors while she supported Maya. "The quantum realm," Maya kept muttering. "I can still see it." 1 minute to containment failure. They reached the Nighthawk's airlock just as the station's artificial gravity began to fail. Objects floated freely, including several security officers who had waited too long to evacuate. "What about the doctor?" Maya asked weakly as Sarah secured her in the medical bay. Sarah looked back at Morgan, who stood watching them from the station's observation window. She made her choice. 30 seconds to containment failure. The Nighthawk's engines powered up as Sarah took the command chair. On her neural display, she could see escape pods launching from the station, the security teams finally realizing the severity of their situation. 10 seconds. They were barely clear when the station's containment field collapsed. The explosion was beautiful in its silence, a flower of fire blooming in the void, quickly extinguished by vacuum. In the medical bay, the teenagers were being treated for neural shock. Maya's eyes had finally focused, though she kept making quantum calculations in her sleep. "Status report," Sarah commanded. 19 teenagers recovered, the Nighthawk responded, all showing signs of extensive neural modification, but stable. However, their enhanced capabilities appear to be permanent. Sarah watched her daughter through the medical bay cameras. Maya had always been brilliant, but now she could see and understand things most humans never would. All of these kids could. "Set course for Earth," she ordered, "and prepare a data package for the media." Transgalactic needs to learn that some lines can't be uncrossed. As the Nighthawk accelerated to quantum speed, Sarah allowed herself a moment to breathe. She had her daughter back, but this wasn't over. Transgalactic would try to bury this, to hide their experiments and start again somewhere else. But they were about to learn another lesson. Never underestimate a mother's ability to make corporate executives have very, very bad days. The storm wasn't over. It was just beginning. The Nighthawk's medical bay had become something extraordinary. As the 19 teenagers recovered, their enhanced minds began to interact in ways that defied conventional understanding. Holographic displays flickered with quantum calculations that shouldn't have been possible without massive supercomputers. "Mom," Maya called from her bed, her eyes now clear but somehow deeper, as if seeing through multiple dimensions at once. "We need to talk about what happens next." Sarah paused in her review of Transgalactic's encrypted files. "First, we get you all home." "It's not that simple anymore." Maya sat up, gesturing at the air around her. Complex equations materialized in holographic form. What they did to us. We're not just enhanced. We're connected to each other, to the quantum realm. We can see things, understand things. They violated you. Sarah's voice was hard. Experimented on children without consent. Yes, Maya agreed, but the results? She waved her hand, and the ship's quantum core responded instantly, power levels shifting without any physical input. "We're not victims anymore, Mom. We're something new." The other teenagers had gathered around, each adding their own calculations to the holographic display. Daniel Wong, the AI specialist, stepped forward. Transgalactic wanted weapons, he said, living quantum computers they could control, but they didn't understand what they were creating. "We're not computers, we're explorers, and we've seen things in the quantum realm that could change everything." Sarah watched as the teenagers worked in perfect synchronization, their enhanced minds weaving complex patterns in reality itself. Her neural interface could barely process what she was seeing. "There are more," Maya continued. "Other facilities, other children. Transgalactic's experiments weren't limited to one station. We can feel them, Mom. They're calling out through the quantum field." A new holographic display appeared, showing locations across 3 star systems. Each point pulsed with the same unique energy signature Sarah had detected at the research station. "How many?" she asked, already plotting courses in her mind. "Dozens," another girl answered, Zora Patel, quantum engineering prodigy. "And some of them are in pain. The neural integration isn't always successful. Some facilities are less careful than others." Sarah's jaw tightened. "Give me the coordinates. All of them." "No, Mom." Maya touched her arm. "Not alone. Not this time. We can help. What they did to us, we can use it. Turn their weapon against them." The teenagers gathered closer, their combined consciousness creating patterns of light and energy that made Sarah's neural interface spark with feedback. "Watch," Maya whispered. Together, the quantum children reached out through the ship's communications array. Sarah's displays exploded with data as they accessed networks across 3 star systems simultaneously. Transgalactic's security protocols shattered like glass against their combined consciousness. "My God," Sarah breathed as she watched decades of corporate secrets spill into public networks. Research data, financial records, private communications, everything exposed in an instant. "That's just the beginning," Maya smiled. "We found their failsafes, their hidden protocols. Every facility holding enhanced children just had their security systems rewritten. The children are being released as we speak." Emergency broadcasts began flooding in from across the sector. Reports of teenagers walking out of secret facilities, of security systems turning against their operators, of quantum cores activating without human input. "They wanted to control the future," Daniel said, his voice echoing with something more than human harmonics. "Instead, they created something they couldn't cage." Sarah watched as her daughter and the others continued their work, dismantling Transgalactic's empire with thought alone. Pride warred with concern in her heart. These children were no longer just victims to be rescued. They were becoming something humanity had never seen before. "Mom," Maya turned to her, those impossible eyes full of both power and love. "We need your help. There will be resistance. People who want to capture us, study us, control us. We need someone who can protect us while we learn to control these abilities. Someone who understands both military strategy and a mother's love." Sarah looked at these extraordinary children, at her daughter who could now touch the quantum fabric of reality itself. She thought of all the other enhanced children now being freed across the stars, scared and powerful, and in need of guidance. "Well," she smiled, checking her weapon systems, "I did always want to start a school." The teenagers laughed, their combined amusement causing quantum fluctuations that made the ship's sensors go haywire. Transgalactic's board of directors is about to have an emergency meeting, Daniel reported, his mind clearly monitoring multiple data streams. "Should we crash it?" "No." Sarah sat in her command chair, feeling the weight of new purpose settling on her shoulders. "Let's crash it in person. I think it's time these corporate executives learned what happens when you mess with the wrong mother's kid." The Nighthawk's engines hummed to life, guided by both Sarah's experienced hand and the quantum children's enhanced consciousness. They had rescued 19 kids, but dozens more needed help. And after that, they would show humanity what the next generation could really become. Just not in the way Transgalactic had planned. Transgalactic's corporate headquarters on New Earth was a monument to power, a towering spire of quantum glass and impossibility alloys that stretched into the stratosphere. Its boardroom, on the top floor, had witnessed countless decisions that shaped humanity's future. Today it would witness its last. Sarah Chen stood before the assembled board members, Maya at her side. The other quantum children watched through neural feeds, their consciousness spreading through the building's systems like digital mist. "Lady and gentlemen of the board," Sarah began, her voice carrying the weight of someone who had torn apart 3 star systems to reach this moment. "We need to discuss your children's program. This is an unauthorized breach." The CEO began, reaching for his security panel. "I wouldn't," Maya said softly. The quantum calculations visible in her eyes reflected off the room's smart surfaces. "We've already had a fascinating conversation with your security AI. It agrees with us now." The board members shifted uncomfortably as their personal devices went dark. Outside, the sky had taken on an unusual quantum shimmer, evidence of the other enhanced children working in concert across space and time. "You stole children," Sarah continued, pacing slowly around the table. "Experimented on them. Tried to turn them into weapons. But you forgot something crucial about evolution. It doesn't follow corporate directives." These experiments were sanctioned by... Another board member tried. By whom? Sarah's neural interface projected documents into the air, countless records of illegal operations, criminal conspiracies, and ethical violations. Your pet politicians, your pet judges, the ones whose private accounts we've already exposed to every law enforcement agency in 3 systems. Maya stepped forward, her presence making the quantum glass windows vibrate in sympathy. "You wanted to control the future, to own the next step in human evolution. But the future isn't something you can cage in a lab or trade on the stock market." Through the windows, they could see other enhanced children arriving, some walking straight through security checkpoints, others simply appearing as if the laws of physics were merely polite suggestions. In orbit, the Nighthawk hung like a dark promise, its weapons guided by minds that could calculate targeting solutions in 11 dimensions. "So here's what's going to happen." Sarah laid out a datapad containing a single document. "Transgalactic Industries will be dissolved. Its assets will be transferred to a new foundation, one dedicated to helping enhanced children and their families. You will all resign, effective immediately, and cooperate fully with the authorities." "Or?" the CEO challenged, though his voice shook. Maya smiled, and for a moment the quantum realm blurred through into normal space, showing glimpses of realities that human minds were never meant to process. Or we show you what it really means to play with forces beyond your control. The signing took exactly 7 minutes. By the time it was done, one of the longest-standing corporations in human space had effectively ceased to exist. "Mom," Maya said, as they watched the board members being escorted out by authorities, "there's something you should see." Through her enhanced perception, through the combined consciousness of all the quantum children, Sarah saw it, patterns in the quantum realm, hints of something vast and ancient and aware. The children's abilities hadn't been created by transgalactics experiments, they had been awakened. "There are others out there," Maya whispered. "Not human, not anymore. They've been waiting for us to evolve, to be ready. And now..." Sarah looked at her daughter, this extraordinary being who could touch reality itself, and made a decision. "Well, I did promise to help you start a school. Might as well make it interesting." Above them, the quantum shimmer in the sky grew stronger as more enhanced children arrived from across the stars. They were gathering now, drawn together by abilities and understanding that transcended normal human comprehension. Sarah's neural interface could barely process the calculations flowing between them, plans within plans, futures within futures. But at the core of it all was something beautifully simple, a mother's love, transformed into a force that had reshaped 3 star systems and unleashed the next step in human evolution. Not through corporate greed or scientific ambition, but through the most basic and powerful of human emotions. "Ready for what comes next?" Sarah asked, watching as the quantum children began transforming the corporate tower into something new, a beacon for others like them. Maya took her mother's hand, her touch carrying echoes of impossible dimensions. "Are any of us ever ready for evolution?" "Probably not," Sarah smiled, checking her weapons one last time. "But at least we'll face it together." The sun rose over New Earth, its light refracting through quantum-touched skies. In orbit, the Nighthawk stood guard over a new beginning. And in 3 star systems, corporate executives were learning a vital lesson about the universe. Never mess with a human mother's child. You might just accidentally trigger the next phase of cosmic evolution.